What happens when your landlord is more interested in your meals than maintaining the house? In the bustling city of Lagos, Benji thought moving out would solve his problems until he found himself face to face with uncompleted houses, swampy paths, and even graves. This hilarious and eye-opening tale proves one thing, that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. The moral, the grass is not always greener on the other side, shines through as Benji realizes that his current landlord, despite being a nuisance, is still a better deal than facing uncertainty or living in questionable conditions elsewhere. In the city of Bongo, was a landlord who is fond of entering tenants' houses anytime he likes and asking what they cooked. Baba won't leave until he eats. For weeks now, this man has been eating 3 square meals from everybody's houses. Meanwhile, he doesn't do anything in the house. If the borehole spoils, the tenants fix it. If light has issues, they fix it. Soakaway failed, they drained it. He doesn't contribute a dime. The only good thing is he doesn't increase the rent. Since Benji moved in, the rent has been the same, but peace of mind has reduced. One day, a girlfriend came to visit him, so he quickly cooked jollof rice and fried chicken. He wanted to eat the food with her. The next thing, Doga landlord barged in. He sat down on his bed and started watching TV. Benji didn't want to serve the food because he didn't want him to join. That's how the landlord sat there, watching TV for over 30 minutes. Benji switched off the main switch, but Baba laid down and started sleeping. He had to wake him up after an hour to eat, and immediately after eating, he left. Benji and the other tenants decided to move out because what sort of inconvenience is this? Benji contacted an agent and told him I needed a 2-bedroom apartment in a very quiet and peaceful environment where the landlord is late or absent. The next day, the agent man asked Benji to meet him. The house agent showed him houses of 1.5 m to m. They were expensive, they spent over 5 hours, and they didn't see a house less than 1.5 m. Benji told him he didn't like any of the houses, and that the agent should keep looking. The next day, he called him again when he went out. This time, he went with another tenant also looking for a house. The house agent started showing them houses of 2.5 m, 3 m. Benji got angry and charged at him. Oga, kilo seal. My rent is 350k presently, and I'm complaining. You're showing me houses of 3 m? Where will I get that amount for a house? The house agent said there's no 2-bedroom apartment for 600k in Lagos again. The neighbor called Romana stopped Benji and said leave the man, I have an agent. Any house you want, the man will find for you, no matter the budget. Immediately, they called the agent and spoke to him on the phone. Benji told him the house he wanted, which was a 2-bedroom flat for 350k, 400k, and the most he could pay was 450k. The new house agent called Itiaba said, a house debt, but you must pay registration fee of 10k. The news that there was an available house gave Benji joy. Immediately, he transferred the 10k to him, then he gave them the location. It took them about an hour to get to him. When they finally met him, they entered a bike again and rode for another 45 minutes, then they came down. They started walking inside a thick bush. Benji turned and looked at his neighbor Romanas. Benji started suspecting his neighbor of being a ritualist. Maybe this guy has planned with this agent to kill me, he thought. He quickly faked a call to his girlfriend and told her he was with his neighbor. He mentioned his name and told her he carried him to look for a house. Then he called 2 other people and told them the same thing. After another 30 minutes, they finally reached one swampy, quiet place. The agent smiled and said, we don't reach. Then he pointed at a corner and said, after you cross the bridge, that's the house. Bridge? Benji was excited a bit. There's a bridge here. Okay, so is the house under the bridge? He laughed and pointed at a wooden plank on the ground and said, that's the bridge. Because of the swamp, we have to use the bridge. Story by a Jibo writer, and then, over there, that's the 2-bedroom. Benji looked, and the only house he could see was an uncompleted, unpainted, dilapidated building very close to the swamp. Around it were 3 graves. No. He shouted to Baba, the house no complete no, then no big grave be that. Who died there? He asked why he was shouting and said the house was complete. He said once you pay the rent now, in 3 days, they would finish it so he could pack in. It's just painting, he added. Benji could clearly see that even in 6 months, they wouldn't complete the work. This guy was saying 3 days. What about the 3 graves, he asked. He said, Sebi you say you want house where the landlord no day. That's the landlord's grave, his wife, and their first son. Benji heard a bike sound. He turned and saw the bikeman popularly called Okada man dropping someone. That's how he quickly jumped and entered the bike, leaving the agent and his neighbor there. As soon as he got home, he called his landlord and told him, they have a goosey soup. Come and eat. I've bought beer too. Eat, drink, and be satisfied because now man you be. I know pack again. Moral of the story, the grass is not always greener on the other side. Thank you for watching and remain blessed. Please think well and do your findings before you take that big step. Do have a wonderful and blessed year 2025. Thank you very much, you are amazing.